This is News at 8.
Welcome to the Prime Time Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. Coming up on Joy News at 8, workers wear red armbands in solidarity with the Trade Union Congress over recent hikes in utility tariffs. Local government workers distance themselves from strike by CLOGSAC, insisting they don't belong to the association. CLOGSAC has, however, just announced an end to its industrial action. Also in the bulletin, Public Utilities Regulatory Commission directs utilities to resolve customer complaints about billing following recent tariff hikes. And government officials affected by recent directive on installation of prepaid meters asked to cooperate with the Electricity Company of Ghana. We also have sports, business, showbiz, and international news coming up.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
Some public workers today wore red armbands and hoisted red flags in solidarity with a directive by organized labor over the recent utility tariff hikes. The TUC at a news conference yesterday asked organized labor to join in the action to put pressure on government, even as the committee tasked with the responsibility of considering a review of the hikes goes about its work.
Some of the workers went beyond armbands and accessorized with the red cloth. Though they do not speak on camera, many confirmed they would continue wearing the red armbands until they receive further instructions from their leaders. The red was a lot more prevalent at the headquarters of the Trade Union Congress in Accra, where visitors were greeted with a red banner that almost blocked the main entrance. The TUC explains the decision to wear red bands instead of embarking on full-blown strike, as had been threatened from today, follows an appeal by President John Dramani Mahama for restraint, while the technical committee established to review tariff hikes finalizes its reports. The offices of the National Association of Graduate Teachers also had its red flags in full solidarity with the TUC.
Our offices nationwide are flying the flag. This is an organized labor activity, so it is mainly the labor unions that have been asked by the meeting we held yesterday to fly the flags. And as you can see, NAGRAT is flying its flag. The real impact is that they are economically worse off because they are paying about 87% more for utility than they used to pay. So, and then of course, with the exception of the utility itself alone, there are other downline increases that will come along with it, which the worker, in this case the teacher, is going to suffer. So that is how it affects us.
The TUC executive had indicated the outcome of the technical committee's work will inform their next line of action.
Also, local government workers union is appealing for police protection for its members. It says are being harassed by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana for not taking part in its ongoing strike. At a news conference in Accra, the leadership explained they cannot be part of the industrial action simply because they do not belong to CLOGSAC. They have expressed support for the Trade Union Congress in its efforts to get government to reduce the recent hikes in utility tariffs.
We are asking all our members to go back to their normal duties. And because of that, without any harassment, that's why we have requested for a police protection. Because some of the places, regions and districts, they have been calling that they have been locking their offices and all those things. So we have to call for police protection for them, because we don't want to also reiterate those things. So now we have done that. So now we are still appealing to them that once the CLOGSAC strike is still ongoing, we are still appealing to them that they should go back to their normal duties without.
They explained why they are not part of CLOGSAC.
CLOGSAC was first Civil Servants Association, so they were for civil service. for civil service. And then we are for, I've told you that ever since, we are for assemblies, metro and municipal assemblies. So first, when we are employed, maybe you know, they say that we are civil servants, so they will start deducting dues from your salaries. They will not unionize you as we have been doing.
They added that unlike their closer colleagues, they are not making any demands for single spine top-up premiums. They later appealed to their members to return to work.
Well, word is that the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana has called off its strike action. According to the association, the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations has intervened and members have agreed to call off their action. We were hoping to get to speak to one of the executives of the GLOCSAC, but we're unable to reach them on the line now. But if we do, we'll bring you those details and as to the reasons why they are calling off the action. Elsewhere, the Electricity Company of Ghana and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company have been ordered to rectify all problems associated with their billing systems, especially for prepaid electricity consumers, by Friday, October 25, or face sanctions as prescribed by law. The order was given by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission at a news conference on Tuesday, which was also used to announce a resumption of the automatic adjustment formula from January 2014.
It follows numerous complaints by prepaid electricity consumers since the coming into effect of the new tariffs that their credits are running out too quickly. The ECG has explained that the customers are only being made to pay the new tariffs, which should have been charged from when they came into effect at the beginning of the month. The PURC, however, says whatever issues there are must be dealt with and wants the utility companies to prepare a detailed resolution plan.
The Commission has received various complaints from consumers of electricity who use the eCash and the BSC prepaid meters in the areas covered by ECG and the newly installed prepayment meters in the areas covered by NEDCO in the northern part of Ghana. The ECG and NEDCO has been ordered by the Commission to rectify all the problems associated with these meters, especially in the area of retrospective billing, or else face the appropriate sanctions as stipulated in law. And the Commission will ensure that the following key benchmarks for the attainment of the acceptable and attainable key levels of quality of service, both electricity and water, are adhered to. For electricity, we expect a reduction in technical and commercial losses to meet the Commission's benchmark of 25% for the electricity distribution companies. Reduction in transmission losses to meet the benchmark of 3.5% for the transmission company GRIDCO. Generating plant availability of 92% for thermal plants and 95% for hydro plants, depending on the flow of the weather. For water, installation of meters to meet the regulatory benchmark of 85% metering ratio. Currently, they are somewhere around 60. Improvement in commercial losses of 20% through reduction in illegal connection, consumer inaccuracies, and data handling errors.
Director of Public Relations and External Affairs at the PURC, Nanaya Jantoa, dismissed assertions the PURC has failed to implement the automatic adjustment formula over the past 2 years.
We've given you the timetable that we have gazetted the tariffs over the period from 2010 to 2012. Of course, in 2012, there were challenges with the West Africa gas pipeline, and we couldn't even do the automatic adjustment formula. Because before you do everything, you have to have some cost drivers, you have to have some indicators. At that time, gas wasn't coming in, and what were the indicators we were going to use? In January 2013, we used automatic adjustment formula to do a tariff, a full LCO tariff, and we got 120%. We got 120%. So the point is that in 2012, there was no way we could have done the automatic adjustment formula. But before that, we actually applied the automatic adjustment formula.
On the demands by organized labor for a review of the tariffs, Nanaya Jantoa says it is not within the power of the Commission to do that.
The PURC as an independent regulator, we have done our work, we have done it according to the guidelines that has been set for us. And we don't have any stand on what the TUC is doing. They have a position, they are a group, and that is their position, and we don't have any stand on it.
The PURC is meanwhile threatening it will not hesitate to sanction any utility service provider that breaches laid down regulatory procedures, adding it will name and shame them.
Political office holders occupying state bungalows where prepaid meters had to be installed have been asked to cooperate with officials of the Electricity Company of Ghana in the exercise, which is to start next week. Deputy Minister of Information and Media Relations Felix Kwame Ofosu, who announced this at a media briefing today, added national tracking of government vehicles used by officials will also begin, though he did not say when.
The directive by President John Mahama came last Thursday after a cabinet session. The Deputy Minister says this is a financially prudent step by government.
It's a way of securing the financial health of the utility service providers and also ensuring that government appointees foot their own utility bills. The exercise would commence next week. ECG would start installing the meters next week. It is to help streamline the use of these utility bills and also ensure that the utility service providers are not overburdened in terms of their financial position.
Earlier, another directive was issued for the re-registration of all government vehicles so that they bear the GV number plate. Kwame Ofosu said the Administrator General has laid down a roadmap to implement the directive soon.
The Administrator General has been tasked by the Chief of Staff to engage, or he was tasked, I beg your pardon, by the Chief of Staff to engage all MDAs, the Office of the President and the Ministry of Transport, as well as other agencies, to ensure that he liaises with them to compile a comprehensive report on all such vehicles. There's a clear directive that beyond office hours and outside of official duties, no government appointee is allowed to use government vehicles for any other purpose. Now, this is a way of ensuring that we are able to track that, so that if appointees are found to be violating this directive, they can first be fished out and also sanctioned appropriately.
To look at the flip side of the issue is to ask how decentralized a comprehensive monitoring system will be in a country with 10 regions and on the background of a more centralized system. Gifty Andopia, Joy News, Flagstaff House.
Well, in related development, Deputy Information and Media Relations Minister Felix Kwame Ofosu has congratulated Joy News' Gifty Andopia for picking the Best TV News Bulletin Award at the CNN Multi-Choice African Journalist of the Year Awards. The commendation was done before her colleagues in the press corps at the Flagstaff House.
It is gratifying to know that one of our own, now when I say one of our own, one of the people we work with has gained international recognition for the hard work that she has been putting in. And I believe that it will spur the rest of you on to achieve greater heights. It also speaks to the quality of journalism that is being practiced currently, and we hope that the standard is maintained so that we can compete favorably with the rest of the world. So, Gifty, congratulations once again.
Now, in other news, well, we're taking a break. We'll come back and bring you some more stories. Do stay tuned. Former flag bearer aspirant of the New Patriotic Party, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, has suggested a complete revolution of policies and programs if the party is to win the 2016 presidential election. Addressing students of the NPP's youth wing in the Upper West Regional Capital, the renowned heart surgeon criticized the Mahama administration for reducing the economy to what he described as an Adam and Eve economy. Rafiq Salam's report from Wa.
Speaking to members of the Wa Campus branch of the Tertiary Students' Confederacy of the New Patriotic Party, the former flag bearer aspirant of the New Patriotic Party, Professor Frimpong Boateng, didn't mince words on the management of the country's economy by the National Democratic Congress, describing it as Adam and Eve economy.
You know, no one came better. After all, he will do wood, shape it, and hold a ship that was able to withstand the flood of 4 years, and he was able to save humanity. Now, what it tells us that if you add value things, we are able to save humanity. So let us add value to things now and move from the Adam and Eve economy to the lower economy.
He He stated that the success of any government is not determined by the number of roads, hospitals and schools that it has constructed, but rather the extent to which it is able to develop the human capital or resource so that people will be able to live independent lives and be less dependent on foreign capital and its influence.
They look at the GDP report and they are saying they are not sending money to Ghana. And if they don't send money, your education, which depends on 80%, you are part of 80%, and the other 80% is suffering. Now, statutory payment out of Ghana, schools haven't received their subvention, health insurance, no subvention, nothing is going on. Why? Because we are mismanaging ourselves. In the broader sense, but now more conservative. And that's all rescue.
He called for a complete revolution of the policies and programs of the party that will win the 2016 polls.
There must be a serious change the way we do this. We cannot do this like we are doing now. Our enemies are not the enemies. Our enemies are poverty, mismanagement, hunger, poor education. These are the enemies of Ghana. If you focus too much on political opponents, you are not enemies. So if we take over the 2016 and we continue to do this the way Africa do, there must be a serious thing. No one about the problems of the nation, challenges, stay there and address them with education, targeted education, research, development.
Rafiq Salam's reports from WA.
Ghana could see a spike in Brule ulcer cases if pollution of the environment from Galamsey operations in mining communities is not contained. At an evaluation report on the Brule ulcer program, officials of the Ghana Health Service explained they are beginning to see a growing incidence in the disease in Galamsey communities and fear it could get worse. They are therefore asking government to act immediately to address the situation.
Brule ulcer is a chronic disease which mostly affects about 56% of children below the age of 16 years in the middle and forest belts areas. The disease, which starts as a noodle, can easily lead to disabilities resulting in amputation and loss of vital organs like the eye when not treated early. Since 2005, availability and introduction of combined drugs and antibiotics for the treatment of Brule ulcer, officials say, has helped a revolution in the management of the disease.
Prevalence of the disease, it is definitely going down. Compared from 2005 to 2012, there is some improvement. We've dropped from about 1,100 plus cases a year to now under 650 cases a year. There is much improvement in Ashanti region, in the eastern region and Greater Accra region. The central region appears to be climbing a little, and so that is basically the status now.
The evaluation report done on the National Brule Control Program notes that misconceptions about what causes the disease and the late reporting of cases at health centers for treatment are still formidable challenges in the control of the disease. They add that their worry about Galamsey operations stems from the growing incidence of Brule ulcer in Galamsey communities.
An organism called Mycobacterium ulcerans is actually found in stagnant water area favorable to the growth of that organism. You see, when you are creating those type of ambient environment for the growth of the organism, in endemic areas where the disease is already found, then it is a threat. If you are not careful, within 5-10 years, then you'll be reversing or almost all the gains that have been shocked.
Key recommendations include incorporating the CHIPS concept to scale up Brule ulcer treatment and management, as well as including it in the National Health Insurance Scheme. It further states that the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection should also add it up to its priority issues as the disease mostly affects children.
The Deputy Minister of Education in charge of basic schools, Alex Treme, has directed heads of assisted senior high schools to desist from charging unapproved fees, threatening that heads who disregard the directive will be relieved of their post. He was speaking at the climax of the 50th anniversary celebration of the Wenchi Methodist Senior High School in the Bunahafo region over the weekend.
The Wenchi Methodist Senior High School was established in 1963 by the Methodist Church of Ghana in collaboration with the Wenchi Traditional Council. The school took off as a boys' school with 67 students and Reverend Peter Howard as the first headmaster. The school's population has since grown to 1,078, including 30 visually impaired students. It is the first school in the Bunahafo region to integrate both sighted and visually impaired students. Alex Treme, who is an old student of the school, stated the Ministry of Education would be very strict in enforcing the directive on charging unapproved fees.
To address the annual complaint of fee charge in senior high schools, the Minister constituted a committee. I'm glad to inform you that I was the chairman of that committee, and we identified problems in school bills, and we have come out with a uniform fees to be charged in various public senior high schools. It is expected that parents would adhere to the approved fees.
He also mentioned that about 160,000 JHS leavers are expected to be placed by the end of October in the computerized school selection and placement system, and warned school heads against rejecting students allocated to them.
225,000 out of 392,000 people who wrote the BEC have been placed in the first leg of placement exercise, and the second placement, which will be out by the end of October, is expected to place 160,000 people. The ministry has opened a window of opportunity also for those who failed to rewrite this year.
The headmaster of the school, John Kwamina Simpson, observed that even though the school has chalked several academic successes over the years at the WASI, it is confronted with inadequate infrastructure. Simpson therefore appealed to the government to help complete the girls' dormitory project, which started in 2002. The Minister of Chieftaincy and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Seidu Henry Dana, also an old student, paid tribute to the Methodist Church for integrating the education of the visually impaired into the mainstream. This, he noted, has laid a foundation for who he is now. Dr. Dana encouraged the current visually impaired students not to be put off with their situation, but strive hard to become greater in future.
As we talk, in the whole west coast of Africa, you cannot write about the history of visually impaired education in the second circle if you don't mention Wenchi Sunday School in Ghana.
Nesta Kafwe Ajemes report.
The sole commissioner for judgment debts has raised issues with the compensation paid out to people affected by floods as a result of the construction of the Akosombo Dam in the 1960s. Among the concerns raised is what he describes as the lack of due diligence by the consultant tasked to evaluate flood victims. According to Justice Yapao, there were also overpayments in the disbursement of the compensation, which commenced in 2005.
The investigation and assessment of the flooded areas in the Volta, Eastern and the Northern regions was awarded to Kofi Aban & Co. by the victims. Per the contract, the consultant, in this case Kofi Aban & Co., was entitled to 10% of the claims that will be paid by government to the victims. The sole commissioner, however, says there were no proper surveys of the flooded areas, as should have been the case.
The area is flooded. How do you make the site plan? How do you determine the size? So you were just given site plans that this, my size is 20,000 acres. Then based upon that, you did your work and presented to Land Valuation Board. Is that what you are telling us?
So we didn't do the survey of the area.
So what did you do?
We went to the site to collect site data and information about the area and have inspection of the area. And then, based upon the site plans they brought, we have to, based upon the site plans and the information we gather from the area, to prepare the evaluation report.
Were you contracted by the Land Valuation Board to do it, or the beneficiaries themselves contracted you to do it?
It was the beneficiaries themselves.
That contracted you as private surveyors?
Yes, my lord.
To do it for them?
Yes, my lord.
But who actually did the surveying?
Please, for that, I'm not in a position to do.
But the site plans you were given, you were given site plans?
Yes.
Based upon which you went?
Yes, my lord.
Do you have the site plans?
Were embodied in the valuation reports, and copies even sent to Land Valuation Board.
The consultants, even though have collected a part of what was due them, could not provide all the documents needed to the Commission, and so has been asked to produce the rest within a week. The payments have been spread over a period of 8 years, and some of the payments, according to the Commission, are still pending in court.
These issues of compensation came up from 2005 specifically. There's some came up before 2005, but the greater part of the compensation payments in respect of all these things came up in 2005 onwards. And some of these issues are still in court anyway, and others too have been handled and they have been litigated upon in court, and payments are being made. Others too, judgments have been given, and the judgments have been compromised. If I say compromised, what it means is that the judgment might have been for a specific sum, but the parties involved might have met and agreed on a lower sum.
The Commission, meanwhile, is expecting a star witness in the GNPC drill ship saga on Wednesday, October 23, to take the stand.
Hello, welcome to Joy Business. I'm Abigail Adumakoenchi. Now, the first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Millicent Nah, has bemoaned the high number of non-professional bankers he says are giving the industry a bad name due to their misdeeds. Addressing the inauguration of the Bank of Ghana Association of Chartered Bankers in Accra, he said unprofessionalism of some banking staff is fast eroding the reputation of the true professionals.
The banking profession is considered very prestigious not only in Ghana but in other parts of the world. Practitioners are thought to exude confidence in their outlook to make them attractive to their clients who have to trust them with their hard-earned monies. The first Deputy Governor, however, says, contrary to the high regard given bankers, publication of disclaimers have become the order of the day.
There was some professional culture in banking, probably until recent times, where on a daily basis we see and read disclaimers in the newspapers of bank employees who apparently might have misconducted themselves in one way or the other, and the various institutions trying to own them, if you like. So it is incumbent upon us to hold high the concept of trust and confidence and not to abuse it. Otherwise, we'll not have what? The foundation of banking would be what? Dislodged.
Clifford Duke Metal, president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, also lamented the decline in ethics and professionalism in the banking sector and is urging bankers to return to the basic principles in banking.
In the olden days, there's this phrase, my word is my bond. And this is a simple phrase that has been associated with banking practitioners over the centuries. This evokes a very strong sense of commitment to the application of honesty, integrity, and professionalism. We think and we know strongly that this is one of the bane, and that's the problem why, as the chairman mentioned, you find disclaimers in the newspapers where people are always having issues with their employers, and therefore they have to be disowned, as he put it, and published in the newspapers. because some of them don't even understand the foundation of banking operations.
He added, very soon, no banker can head a branch until he or she obtains the Institute of Chartered Banking certificate. The theme for the inaugural ceremony of the Bank of Ghana Association of Chartered Bankers was ensuring financial stability, the role of the Ghanaian banker.
Now, government says it will focus on the nation's best interests before taking a final decision on the economic partnership agreement with the European Union. The agreement will afford European producers free access to African markets and vice versa. Civil society and various interest groups are fiercely against the agreement and say government must, together with its colleagues in the West African sub-region, take a firm stance at a meeting sometime later this week. The Trade Minister, Haruna Iddrisu, has, however, assured them government will not ignore their concerns. The EU has meanwhile set October 2014 as the deadline for signing the EPA. Now, the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Nielante van der Poy, wants insurance companies to make their services and products accessible to as many members of the public as possible. He is proposing a reduction in premiums to bring it within the reach of the ordinary Ghanaian.
Government since 2009 has been working on Ghana becoming a member of the African Trade Insurance Agency, ATI, which is a multilateral agency created to provide insurance products that mitigate the trade and investment risks of companies doing business in Africa. Ghana stands to benefit from $100 million in added capacity from ATI, while the insurance industry will also gain the ability to insure surety bonds, trade credit and political risks such as terrorism, violence and sabotage.
If we join, Ghana will be a shareholder of the ATI. So we, the insurance companies here, can also have access to the ATI services. And of course, the money premium that they'll be collecting will be here. So we shall be conserving that. And of course, if they do well, the government will get, in terms of dividend, from what they do. So we think that this is a better approach, to doing than for us always to be relying on the overseas markets. And of course, if they are here, we, the local companies, will also build the capacity to know how do we assess that kind of risk, how do we price it, what are the terms and conditions that we impose. So it will help us to build our knowledge.
Although the process has stalled, the move has become imperative, especially at this time when terrorism is fast gaining roots in Africa. CEO of ATI tells Joy Business shop owners at the Westgate Mall in Kenya, which was recently attacked by terrorists, have already received a $100 million insurance package from the agency. He adds the country is also better off accessing packages through ATI as they are cheaper.
They're cheaper in terms of, each compared to what is charged in international markets. But of course, they range from 1% to 3%, depending on the risk, because each country has a different risk rating. For us, in our own risk criteria, we see Ghana as a good risk, and obviously, we might not share the same with the international market, because international markets must have had the experience with Ghana on one or two things. But for us, we feel that Ghana is a medium risk, and obviously, we would be able to charge reasonable premium compared to what we would charge in the DRC, for instance.
For the private sector, joining the ATI will help address challenges in accessing credits by smaller businesses in the country.
With access to credit insurance and other risk mitigating products, credit insurance, underwriting, credit guarantees, for example, banks will be able to lend more to our SMEs. The reason why SMEs don't qualify or don't get the benefit of a lot of the financial intermediation is because of the risk inherent in them. And for any investor, you look to cover your risk. So are the banks always looking to cover their risks.
The ATI, meanwhile, says there is demand for their services as they have received enquiries valued at over $1 billion for transactions directed at the Ghanaian market.
We do apologize for the wrong intro we read. Actually, the story you just saw had to do with the insurance industry, asking government to expedite the processes needed for them to join the African Trade Insurance Agency to broaden their portfolio on risk insurance. The move, they say, will allow them provide insurance packages for businesses including trade credit, political risk, terrorism and sabotage, which insurance companies in Ghana currently do not cover. Well, Mrs. Sedina Tamaklo Ationu has been appointed Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Micro and Small Loan Center, MASLOC. Until her appointment, Sedina was the coordinator of the National Youth Authority. A pharmacist by profession, Mrs. Ationu also holds a postgraduate certificate in project management from GIMPA and a master's in international retail marketing from the University of Surrey in the UK. MASLOC, an agency under the Office of the President, is a microfinance apex body responsible for implementing the government's microfinance programs targeted at reducing poverty, creating jobs and wealth. Well, that will be it for business. I'm Abigail Adumakunchi.
Sports is brought to you in association.
Some sports now. Tonight we start with weightlifting, and Sports Minister Elvis Afriyankra has charged the national weightlifting team to excel at this year's African Weightlifting Championship scheduled for October 28 to November 5 in Morocco. The minister paid the Black Cranes a visit in camp today amidst donations by a number of corporate bodies and spoke to Joy Sports.
And to encourage them as they are going to the African Championship, they should know that Ghanaians are behind them. Ghana is the star of Africa. And in everything that we do, we should have at the back of our minds that Ghana is a unique country. This is a country with a unique identity. And only the best is good for us. The Black Stars have done it, and I have confidence in you that the Black Cranes, when you go, you bring honors to Ghana and lift the flag of Ghana very high.
Let's do soccer now. The Ghana Premier League has recorded its first managerial casualty with head coach of FA Cup champions Midyama SC resigning from post. Sekondi Hezakias are also on the verge of dispatching the manager, Kobna Misa. Hans van der Pluim has resigned as the head coach of Midyama SC after just 7 games in charge. The Dutch trainer tendered in his resignation today after a poor start to the season. The Ghana FA Cup holders have endured a difficult start to the season and have picked a paltry 8 points from a possible 21. His reason for resignation remains personal, but management of the Takwa-based side accepted his resignation letter in consultation with club president Moses Parker and the board of directors. The club's management has further directed the assistant coach Evans Augustin Adote to take charge till a substantive coach is appointed. In a related development in the Ghana Premier League, Sekondi Hezakias have asked their coach Kobna Misa to proceed on to a 2-week sick leave. The former Brecum Chelsea assistant trainer was not on the touchline at the Sipon Stadium on Sunday as the Du Bois recorded their first victory of the season, beating Inter Allies 1-0. Emisa reported sick after their loss to Asante Kotoko in the midweek, and Ghana female under-20 assistant trainer Yusuf Basik was appointed in the interim. Hezakias officials feel Emisa has failed to achieve the club's ambition going into the current season and want to replace him. Hezakias are 14th of the Ghana Premier League log with 6 points from 7 games. Right now, time to talk about the UEFA Champions League. Indeed, it was a match day 3. We had as much as 3 Ghanaian players taking part in it. Not all of them really came out with the results we're looking out for. But the game that was definitely quickening the bones and shredding the nerves was that game between AC Milan and Barcelona. We'll be talking about in the base, Lionel Messi getting a goal as well as Robinho. And of course, Arsenal, after everything, really losing out. Lots of questions about how well they have done. Let's quickly get into the details for today. And there we have it right now. Now in Group E, Chelsea beats Schalke by 3-0. Fernando Torres getting a brace there. Well, maybe the magic is back for the man as well. Eden Hazard getting goal as well for Chelsea, ensuring that they got in those 3 points, coming off a very difficult last match day when they lost to Basel. In the other game, still Bucharest drew 1-1 with Basel. Should be a disappointing result for them after they beat Chelsea in the last match game. We get into Group F, and Arsenal fans very, very disappointed. Giroud got the goal, but it wasn't enough because Lewandowski got the final goal for Borussia Dortmund, who beat them by 2-1. After a fantastic, run in the Premier League, they have real issues out here. We'll find out. Definitely some doubts about if this team can really go all the way. Napoli beat Marseille by 2-1. In this particular game, Andre Ayew played. His brother Jordan Ayew was on the bench. And just to add as well, Kevin Prince Boateng was in the lineup as well for Schalke 04. So there you have it. Napoli winning by 2-1. Let's talk about Group G, won't we? Atletico Madrid beat Austria, win by 3-0. And they are going strong after the blip in the La Liga. They lost to Espanyol by 1-0 over there. Now Zenit St. Petersburg beat FC Porto by 1-0. And the game that everybody was looking out for was that game between AC Milan and Barcelona. It's been a very, very difficult, road down there for Barcelona anytime they went to the San Siro. It happened today. They failed to win, and they failed to win in the last 6 meetings there. So 1-0 between the two sides. Lionel Messi got the equalizer after Rubinho got the first goal in the 9th minute. And we finished with the final game. Celtic beat Ajax by 2-1. A bit of an upset, but you understand at least Celtic and how they've been going about all of this, really. So tomorrow we'll definitely be finding out what happens in the other games. Obviously, Manchester United will be up against Real Sociedad. They've had loads of problems, and we'll find out how David Moyes and his boys definitely deal with this one tomorrow as well. A couple of teams like Bayern Munich also will be playing tomorrow. We'll check all of that. There we have it, all right? So that'll be all for sports tonight. My name is George Adi Jr. Have a good night. Israel joined us with international news.
Sports was brought to you in association with.
News before then, though, President John Mahama has appointed Kwabena Champong, a marketing communications professional and a former Deputy Minister for the Interior, to be in charge of the restructuring and reorganization of the operations of the Ghana Youth Employment and Entrepreneurial Development Agency, JEDA. Kwabena Champong, who will be working up to the Chief of Staff, will be responsible for the management of JEDA and coordinate the President's directive for full restructuring and development of a bill to be presented to Parliament to govern the operations of the agency. A former Deputy Minister for Tourism and later Interior, Kwabena Champong is also a former Director of Studies at the African University College of Communications in Accra. The second edition of Big in Ghana, a musical talent hunt show that gives upcoming artists an exciting opportunity to perform live on stage alongside renowned artists, has been launched. Winner of last year's edition, Bright, whose first professional video for his song Nadia Number was also released at the launch, said Ghana should watch out for a storm in the music industry.
According to the organizers, the stakes for this year has been doubled, and there are interesting prize packages for music fans. We caught up with Bright, winner of the maiden edition, who says he has more up his sleeves for his fans. He also told us what inspired his lyrics for his song Nadia Number.
Nadia Number, when you listen to the rap, I try to be very witty. I just say things that are funny and then things that I see around. So when you listen to the rap, it's like Brighty, I hate it, or downtown south. I they kill all MC sounds down. I said so much about myself, okay? And I just wanted something that would be like funny and catchy. And then the black girls would be like, why does he say he wants Nadia's number? And then the name Nadia, it rings a bell in Ghana. So I just thought of it and I was like, okay, Mama Nadia number. Something just funny, yeah. So yeah, that was the whole idea about Mama Nadia number.
FOKN boys, who happen to be the organizers, disclosed how they will come by the eventual winner.
The talent hunt. Last year Bright won. This year we are hoping someone brighter will win.
Because what we are looking for in Big in Ghana is someone who can shine on any stage that is given them on any planet.
Meanwhile, the winner of the 2013 edition walks away with a professional album recording, a video clip, and cash.
Too good for you like it. Showbiz.